Welcome! Today we're going to talk about this absolutely beautiful 2022 Tesla Model S Plaid. This one has the upgraded 21-inch arachnid wheels. You do have to pay a little bit of a range penalty for those arachnid wheels. Generally the fully charged EPA range on a Model S Plaid is about 400 miles. The arachnid wheels takes it right around to 350 miles. Still a lot of range. I would happily sacrifice 50 miles for those beautiful upgraded arachnid wheels. This is the range-topping Plaid model, the performance model, so I'd want those wheels to kind of really make this thing pop, which I think it does, versus the standard wheel and tire package that have wheel covers on it. Alright, so we're going to talk a little bit about this Plaid, do a walk around, and more importantly, we're going to take it out for a spin, and we're going to navigate it to a supercharger and kind of show you how the supercharging works. So I'll cover a lot in this video. Amazing product. We sell a lot of Teslas here at Infiniti of Tacoma, sometimes as many as, I think our record was about maybe 14, 15 in 1 month. Almost as many new cars that we sell. We're a new Infiniti dealership, but also we have a big pre-owned business, so we sell a wide range of mostly pre-owned luxury and performance vehicles. Range Rovers, BMWs, Mercedes, obviously lots of pre-owned Infiniti products, and lots of Teslas. Usually I have about 8 to 10 Teslas in stock. I own a Tesla myself. I have a Model 3. As much as I love my Model 3, I think when I come to an upgrade, I would love to upgrade to a Model S. I would love a Plaid, but I'd be happy with any Model S. They're all fantastic vehicles, but I'd absolutely love a Plaid. Crossover SUVs are very popular these days, but I love the sleek look of a sedan. And the Model S is a timeless design. It originally came out in 2013, one of the first Tesla products. The first Tesla product was a Roadster, which wasn't completely 100% Tesla. It's based off the Lotus Elise platform, where the Model S was the first ground-up Tesla product. And they didn't depart too far from the original styling, which I don't think is a bad thing. It's an absolutely beautiful design. They improved it and they modernized the design when they redesigned the Model S to the new design that we see here. And it's absolutely beautiful. In fact, when the Model S first came out, it had one of the lowest drag coefficients out of any vehicle on the road. And as sexy and beautiful as it is, it was even more aerodynamic than vehicles like the Nissan Leaf and Chevy Volt, which were some of the most aerodynamic vehicles on the market. So yeah, they kind of killed two birds with one stone. They made an absolutely beautiful vehicle, and it's very, very streamlined, very, very slippery going through the air. So the range-topping Plaid has a lot of standard equipment on it. You can kind of pick and choose interior colors, things like that, wheel and tire package, and then software, enhanced autopilot, full self-driving. But aside from that, these things come fairly loaded. We do have the yoke, which is kind of polarizing for some people. I like it. I mean, if you ever flown an airplane, they have yokes. I like the improved visibility. When you have a steering wheel, this gauge cluster right here is obstructed, and I have no issue at all moving around and driving with a yoke. Some people complain about it. And if you really don't like the yoke, Tesla does allow you to upgrade to a regular steering wheel. I think it's about $700. You can have a mobile Tesla repair person come to you. You don't even have to take it to the dealership, and they can come to your home or work, and probably in about a half hour pop in a regular steering wheel, and I think it's about $700. So to each their own. If you like a regular steering wheel, very possible on this one. We have a huge screen for the display system. The majority of the functionality is in the screen. Some people ridicule Teslas for having all this functionality in the screen and not having buttons, but kind of like buttons on smartphones. When the iPhone first came out, people ridiculed the iPhone. It's like, people are going to want an actual keyboard. They're not going to want a screen. Well, we all know how that went. And the thing with hard buttons is that they're forever, where this is infinitely reconfigurable. Tesla is constantly updating and improving the display, adding features, adding video games, adding functionality, redesigning the display. Kind of like your iPhone, you get a new iOS update, and you have all these new features, completely different look and design sometimes, or somewhat different look and design. Well, that's the same thing with the Tesla. So this is a vehicle that, even though it gets older, it gets better. Tesla keeps it relevant with these over-the-air updates. Even though my Tesla's a 2019, and the display looked a lot different in 2019 when it was a brand new vehicle, with the over-the-air updates, a lot of the look and functionality of this screen I have in my car. Not everything, but like I say, it helps keep it relevant. You can watch movies, and you can watch YouTube, Disney Plus, Twitch, stuff like that. You can't do it while it's driving, but while it's parked. So if your spouse is in the grocery store, or maybe you're waiting at a supercharger, you're taking a ferry or something like that, waiting in line for a ferry, which we do a lot here for some people in the Pacific Northwest. It's a great way to kill time. You can also play video games. This has a really advanced processor, so you can play some pretty graphics heavy video games. And you can also get a Bluetooth controller, like an Xbox style controller for some of the video games, which is pretty cool. And then you have the silly thing like the toy box. You know, you have the boom box. You can talk through the horn. You can do the whoopee cushion. You have a multi-track recorder. Some stuff is silly. Some stuff is actually kind of cool. Amazing stereo system. This thing, if you love music, if you're an audiophile, this is pretty much up there with some of the best stereo systems that you'd find in like BMW, Mercedes, Bang & Olufsen, Harman Kardon. I love music and it absolutely kicks. You can stream music. Tesla kind of has their own streaming station. You can also connect it with Spotify. And I think they recently added like Apple Music. And then of course you can listen to regular radio. You have the really nice parking camera. So you can use this, oh, here we go. Great parking camera. And you can kind of use this thing here to swipe to go reverse or forward. And then there's a setting where it can actually kind of predict which way you want to go, which actually works pretty well, believe it or not. So that's another option. You have a really awesome climate control system. Really easy functionality. You have a heated steering wheel. You have heated and cooled front seats. You have biodefense mode. Biodefense mode is not a gimmick. It's actually a really amazing thing. If you have allergies or issues, with polluted air, sometimes we'll get smoky air during forest fire season. Sometimes there's a lot of pollen and stuff. Well, this has a HEPA filter, and it's the size of probably the HEPA filter that you have in your home, and it will clean and filter the air. And where a lot of cars will just clean and filter the air that's coming into the vehicle from outside, the HVAC system in this car will actually also clean the cabin air as well. So it's not just cleaning the air that's coming inside the vehicle, it's also constantly cleaning and purifying the air inside the vehicle. And they've tested these systems. They did a Model X with really polluted air in this bubble with people with breathing and monitoring equipment, and actually cleaned the air so well inside the vehicle it was safe to breathe. There are people in really bad forest fires where they actually sought refuge in their Teslas, and the biodefense system cleaned a lot of the smoke and pollutants in the air, which made it a lot more safer to breathe than being outside. So the biodefense is not a gimmick. It's actually a real amazing system. You can do some more research on that if you wish to. I think it's really cool. You have these amazing maps. You can also do an illustrated view as well. I like the live Google Maps, and if you have premium connectivity, it's $10 a month. It allows you to stream internet. It gives you live traffic updates. You can do in-car karaoke. Lots of cool stuff with that. All right, so much to talk about. Let's continue this walk around, because more importantly, we want to get behind the wheel and take this thing out for a spin. Beautiful color combination of black on black. There's those gorgeous arachnid wheels. Beautiful front end styling. Since we don't have an engine here, we have a frunk. Also makes it really safe. One of the safest vehicles on the road. I think when the Model S first came out, it actually broke records as far as safety goes. And then they retested it, and I think that they retested the Model S recently for 2022 when they redesigned it. And like these new very stringent Euro tests, I think, which are even more stringent than the testing that we do in the United States, I think it was by far one of the highest ratings that they've ever had. And it's not just crash testing, but also like safety features like cross avoidance, pedestrian avoidance, and stuff like that. It excelled in all those categories. There's a lot of Tesla naysayers out there, saying they're dangerous and there's a higher fire risk. Well, it's absolutely not true, because if you actually look at the data, like autopilot, which I'll show you shortly when we take it for a drive, which is traffic aware cruise control, when a Tesla's operating on autopilot, it's averaging, I think, 1 accident every 4 million miles driven, which is far safer than humans. And then the fire risk for EVs is actually lower than gas cars. There's about 500,000 cars that catch fire every year in the United States, and the vast majority of them are gas powered. Take a can of gas and a battery and a lighter, don't do it, but which one's easy to catch on fire? Gas is pretty flammable. if you don't know. So yeah, that fear of battery fire risk and stuff like that is absolutely fake news, disproved by actual data. You have a lot of space back here, even more space down here for storage. Normally there'd be a gas tank or an exhaust system, but we're not hampered by the traditional design of a gas car. We don't have missing control system, exhaust, drive shafts, transmissions to all take up space. So you have generally more interior space and cargo space in a Model S versus a comparably sized gas-powered luxury vehicle. You have this big glass panel here. There's no opening moonroofs in Teslas. They actually stopped, I think 2017 was the last year, or 16 was the last year you could actually get a moonroof, a sunroof that opens in a Tesla. Just adds more complexity and weight. Some of those old Tesla moonroofs, they are known to have issues, leak. You know, you have to service the tracks. They can be really slow to open. So they just did away with them. And Tesla actually looked at the data, and they could say the vast majority of people that had Teslas with sunroofs, they actually never opened them. So they figured, why go through all the trouble, weight, complexity, and cost of putting one in. Also, when they redesigned the Tesla Model S in the 2021 model year, they added a screen back here, which is great. Climate control, music, and videos for the rear seat occupants. All right, let's get behind the wheel and take this 2022 Model S Plaid out for a spin. All right, we're taking this 2022 Model S Plaid out for a spin. Right now I'm cruising on the highway. I have the autopilot on, which is traffic aware cruise control. Full self-driving gets a lot of press, but I have full self-driving. It's awesome, but you know, it costs $12,000. Autopilot's pretty much now free in all the new Teslas you get. It's traffic aware cruise control, which allows the vehicle to brake and accelerate in its own lane. It actually can also work on regular roads too. You just have to be extra diligent. They want you to pay attention, keep your eye on the road. It does a great job, but there are situations where it can get overwhelmed and confused, and that's where you have to take over. But for driving and stop and go traffic, driving on the highway, it's an absolute godsend. It's taking the workload of driving. For me, driving on the highway is monotonous and rainy, dark weather. Sometimes it's hard to keep the vehicle in its lane, where, you know, this has amazing cameras and stuff like that. It does a great job keeping the vehicle in the lane, following the bends in the highway. It's not going to take sharp hairpin corners and stuff like that, but it pretty much can handle anything the highway throws at it. It is fantastic, and it will make your life so much easier. Pretty easy. You can put your foot in the brake to turn it off, and you hit that button to turn it on, and when the steering wheel is highlighted in blue, that means that the autopilot is active. We're gonna change lanes over here. Well, we had a little bit of a detail, so the ramp I was gonna take was closed, but you can see I'm also using autopilot on these city streets here. It's not gonna make left and right hand turns. It's not gonna stop for red lights or stop signs, but it's gonna move with the flow of traffic. Just as long as there's vehicles stopping in front of me, it will stop. So you can see that autopilot is a very functional, awesome thing that you can use all the time. And really it's designed for highway use, so when you do use it on roads like this, you just have to be extra diligent and take it and pay attention. Understand it's not going to take sharp corners and stuff like that. You're going to have to be ready to take control. Okay, so we have it on drag strip mode, and then this has adjustable suspension. I have it in sport setting, so it's really, you know, you can program this car to be like a nice, comfortable, cushy luxury car, or you can, you know, program it to be a high performance vehicle. I mean, 0 to 60, I think 1.99 seconds, a quarter mile, I think 9 seconds, 160 miles an hour. In fact, people are getting kicked off drag strips because of how fast this car is. Technically on drag strips, you're supposed to have like a roll cage, a parachute, and a fire control system. So people who race these on drag strips, they actually have to take their foot off the throttle in order not to get thrown off the drag strip. These things are so fast. All right, we have a nice curvy road coming up, so you can test how this thing performs. I'm not gonna go crazy. We're on public roads. I represent a company, so whoa. This thing is just absolutely out of sight as far as acceleration goes. It's like your own personal amusement park ride. I mean, there's no gear. The electric motors make instant torque. This thing just takes right off. And it's a big luxury sedan, so for the level of performance and handling this thing provides, it's absolutely amazing. You know, it's a nice, comfortable, cushy luxury sedan, but it's also very, very high performance vehicle as well. This thing is absolutely, it's fun in a straight line, but it's also very fun in the corners as well. You can see, you know, the yoke's fine for driving like this. The yoke gets a little bit hard for people when you have to do, you know, parking and you're moving the wheel around a lot, but in situations like this, the yoke's great. In fact, Formula 1 cars, they have a yoke. All right, we got these nice corners here. Not gonna go crazy. This thing could go around these corners far, far harder than I'm going, but this thing's absolutely planted, no body roll. Oh, we got this guy right here. Slow down. Yeah, this thing is just absolutely planted in the corners. And then you have that track package, which is like $15,000-$20,000, which can up the ante even more as far as performance goes. But that's really for people who want to take it on racetracks. You don't want to probably shut off the stability and traction control systems and things like that driving on roads like this. If you really don't know what you're doing, you're not a professional race car driver, you could still end up in the ditch. All right, so let's find ourselves a supercharger. So you have this lightning bolt right here that shows up all the superchargers in the area. So let's go to the closest one, which they recently built in Tacoma.
In 1,000 feet, take the ramp on the left toward Interstate 5 South.
You can see the battery's preconditioning for fast charging. So even if you know where the supercharger is, it's always good to navigate to it, because the battery is going to heat up and prepare itself for fast charging, so it will charge more efficiently and, more importantly, faster. Tesla's supercharging network is absolutely amazing. Tesla has a trip planner, so you can pretty much drive anywhere you want in the United States, and you just put it in the trip planner and it'll find the most efficient route to get there, and it'll also route you to charging. Teslas are pretty smart, so if you get low on charge, it will say, hey, the battery's getting kind of low, do you want to navigate to a supercharger? So you have to be pretty oblivious to the world to have one of these things run out of juice. We got a couple exits before we hit our superchargers. I'm gonna pop it back in autopilot, taking the workload off me. You have this little scroll wheel here where you can adjust how fast you're going. On the highway, it'll generally let you go as fast as you want. When you're on regular roads, usually it limits you to over 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, which I think is smart. It'll generally tell you how many stalls are available. You can even look on the app, so you can see if you do plan on going to a supercharger. If you're worried about there not being any stalls available, is a great way to check. I'll show you that while we're sitting at the supercharger. You can see I'm not doing too bad with the yoke. Once you get used to it. I think if I had my choice, I would take the yoke. I mean, it wouldn't make or break my decision at all. I'd be happy to have any Model S Plaid, but you can see, yeah, it's not that hard to turn and maneuver with the yoke once you get used to it. You have a headlight button, horn button, you have the voice command button. And that's the thing too, is I didn't talk about, is all the voice commands, like wipers on 1. Wipers off. People say, I hate having to scroll through the screen and do all this stuff. Well, you can do it with voice commands, so you don't have to look off the road and be distracted. Oh, that one's using the supercharger too, so. All right, so you want to back in all the way. There we go. The cords aren't the longest on these things, so you want to back in all the way. And there's no really messing with it. Once you have a Tesla app set up, you have a credit card attached to it. There's no turning the charger on or programming or putting a credit card in there. It's all automated. So you just grab it, you hit this button right here, pop it open for you, pop it in. And boom, you're charging, and then it will give you some charging tips right there. You know, leave space in between cars, because sometimes they can slow down charging. Arrive with 20% less for maximum charging. So this has lithium-ion batteries on it. Tesla recommends for daily use, you only charge to about 80% for the healthiness of lithium-ion batteries. Other kind of the cheaper Teslas, they use a cheaper battery called the LFPs. which are cheaper to produce. Those actually like to be charged to 100%, but this thing with a 350-mile range, 80% is going to be plenty of range for most people's daily driving. Most people don't drive more than 40-50 miles a day, so 350 miles is plenty. So at 80%, it's probably going to be about 270, 280 miles fully charged. But if you are going on a road trip, it's perfectly fine to charge it to 100% every once in a while. That's perfectly okay. But for daily use, charge it to 80%. And sometimes at superchargers, they'll actually limit you to 80% at high usage ones. Looks like here they're not, but we're just going to charge it to 80%. And the other thing too, when charging, the way battery chemistry is, there you go. The way battery chemistry is the fuller batteries get, the slower they charge. So you'll notice if you go in with a battery that's really empty, it's going to charge really fast. So right now, we actually just gained 11 miles in the short amount of time of me being here plugging in. What I plugged it in a minute ago, you know, you can actually in real time see the range increase. So the charge rate's at 502 miles an hour. It's 154 kilowatts. These chargers are rated up to 250 kilowatts. So it's pretty fast. So I'll have a full charge in about 25 minutes, which is not too bad. The nice thing about these Tesla chargers is that they put them in populated areas around malls and places to eat, stuff to get out. Look at the sushi revolution over there. I think there's a Jack in the Box right there. There's a mattress firm. There's plenty of places to walk around and kill time. If you don't want to sit in your vehicle and charge, you can get a cup of coffee, go to the bathroom. That's the thing too, is like, you know, people are like, well, why have some people are like, well, you know, I don't want to have to stop and charge. Well, you know, people like to stop and stretch or empty their bladders. Most people aren't going to drive, you know, 500 miles an hour, 500 miles or 400 miles nonstop without taking a break. And here it tells you how much it's cost. So far, I spent $3.08 on the charging. Charging rates do depend on, you know, the usage of the supercharger, the utility rates. We actually had one customer, he bought a Model S from us. You know, we're in the Seattle-Tacoma area, and he actually drove it back to San Francisco and supercharged it the whole way. I think it cost him about $150, $160, which isn't too bad, supercharging it the whole way. I think it would still come out ahead versus gas. The cheapest electricity is, you know, at your house. That's the cheapest rates, because obviously when you supercharge it, you have to pay a premium for it. But generally, even supercharging, like I said, is going to be cheaper than, you know, paying for gas. But the real ace in the hole is charging at home, and you can actually there's a setting to charge off peak rates. So if the rates vary on your utility, generally, you know, you can set it up so it can charge like at midnight or 1 a.m. When most people are asleep and the energy usage is the lowest. Okay, so let's talk about the trip planner. So while we're supercharging, for instance, we're in the West Coast, we're in the Seattle-Tacoma area. If we wanted to go back to my hometown, Boston, you put in the trip planner, and it'll figure out the whole trip for you. It'll figure out, and the trip planner is very advanced. It figures, takes into consideration tire pressure, outside temperature, elevation, wind. Like if there's a headwind, a 20-mile headwind that could, you know, reduce range, it takes that in all the consideration. So yeah, you can pretty much drive anywhere in the United States, and the Tesla will figure out, you know, where to charge, how long to charge for, all that stuff. So it really takes that range anxiety out of owning an EV. So I mean, it looks like my first supercharging session would be in Quincy, Washington, which is 3 hours and 5 minutes, 165 miles. I think at that point, I'm ready to get out, take a break, empty my bladder, do something. And that's the thing to think about. They could build EVs, they could make a Tesla that has a 1,000-mile range battery or a 500-mile range battery, but you know what, batteries are heavy. And unlike a gas tank, which empties as you use it, the battery's weight doesn't change depending on how much energy is in it. So if 95% of drivers don't go more than 200 or 300 miles a day, why build an EV with a huge, heavy 500-pound battery? Because that 500-pound battery is gonna, you know, make the EV heavier, which is gonna reduce its efficiency. It's like, you know, having a gas car. Toyota could build a Camry that has a 1,000-mile range on the gas tank. You know, might need like a 50-gallon gas tank or a 40-gallon gas tank, but it wouldn't make any sense because people aren't going to want to, you know, spend the time to, you know, fill up that giant gas tank in their Camry, and then you have this, you know, sedan that has all this heavy gas sloshing around in it that you aren't really going to use. And, you know, most people aren't going to drive 1,000 miles without wanting to get out and stop. So like gas cars, where they could build bigger tanks and have longer range, you know, there's kind of a sweet spot. And we're finding, you know, Tesla absolutely knows a sweet spot on these things. And with the supercharging network, like I said, you can see that this has plenty of range. It'll probably, these things can probably go a lot longer than most people without wanting to supercharge. Generally, when you have a Tesla, you get a charger. You can also set up a home. You can install like a home charger, a wall charger, something like that. Those are a little bit more expensive, but Tesla's basic mobile charger, which is great, they're about, you know, $250 if you don't have one. Generally, we give one to everyone who buys a pre-owned Tesla from us. If you buy a new Tesla, they actually, you know, make you pay for it. So the mobile connector comes with an adapter for a 110 outlet or a 220 outlet. So the 110 adapter is probably not the most efficient way of charging. Generally, you're going to want a 220 outlet installed at your house so you can use the 220 adapter. But if you don't drive a lot, you know, some people can survive off a 110 outlet, or maybe if you're visiting some people or whatever, you want to get an extension cord and charge your car. So generally, with a 110 outlet, that will add about 4 to 5 miles of range per hour. So overnight, that could add maybe about 60, 70 miles of range, which, you know, for some people like me, my daily commute's about 30, 40 miles. So for about 6 months without me owning my Tesla, we just charged it off a 110 outlet, and there was very few times where I didn't get a full charge. But eventually, you know, sometimes you drive a lot more or whatever, for whatever reason, it's nice to have that 220 outlet. So installing a 220 outlet and using a 220 adapter, that will add about 30 miles of range per hour when charging. So you can get a full charge very easily overnight. And then of course, if you want to get the best home charging method, you can get a wall connector, which is about the equivalent of level 2 charging. That will add about 40 or 50 miles of range per hour. But for most people, the mobile connector with a 110 220 outlet, that's the way to go. And it's pretty inexpensive to have an electrician install a 220 outlet. We installed one at our house. My stepdad's an electrician, so he helped me out, giving me pointers and stuff on the installation. Very easy, and yeah, very simplified charging. And I pay, you know, I pay about $60 a month, $70 a month to charge my Tesla, versus, you know, paying $200-300 a month in gas. And the other thing we have to think about is maintenance. That's the one thing that people don't always think about when getting the EV is, you know, maintenance costs. Especially a car like this, you know, 1,000 horsepower, high performance sedan. We're comparing this to like AMG Mercedes, BMW M5s. Think about how much it is to, you know, go and service a BMW M5 or an AMG Mercedes. You know, every time you go to, oh, you got to do a 5,000 mile service, you got to do an oil change. That could be a couple $100. Well, there's no oil changes in this thing, no spark plugs, no 30K services. Brakes, with the regenerative braking, you should get 150-200,000 miles out of these brakes. I service a lot of high performance vehicles. You get a high performance AMG Mercedes, BMW M5. New pads and rotors just for the front could be over $2,000. We had a Charger Scat Pack which had the high performance Brembo brakes, the same Brembo brakes that you have like in the Dodge, the Hellcat. Just for parts at our dealer cost, just for the front pads and rotors, our cost from a Dodge dealership, I couldn't believe it, I called myself, was $4,000. That didn't include the installation, just for parts at our dealer discount, dealer to dealer. You know, people don't take all these things into consideration. So if you take in consideration not just fuel savings, but maintenance, especially comparing it to a high-end BMW, Mercedes product, you can see a very big difference in ownership costs. If you take a high-end car and you do every single recommended maintenance by the service department over like 100,000 miles, it could add up to like $15,000, $20,000 depending on the vehicle. You know, it adds up, you know, $200 for a 5,000 mile service, oil change, tire rotation, inspection, things like that. $1,300 for a 30K service, $3,000 for a 30K service, you know, $3,000 for replacing, you know, timing belts in a high performance, you know, V8 or V6. All those things, you know, are things you're not gonna have to worry about in a Tesla. This thing has very little maintenance. Your biggest maintenance item on this thing will probably be tires, which with 1,000 horsepower, if you're not careful, you can cook tires fairly fast. Other than that, it's, you know, wiper blades. You're gonna want to maybe do a new cabin filter every year. But aside from that, it needs very little maintenance. So not having to go to a dealer service department, not having to, you know, go to a gas station is really nice. Your house is a gas station. You wake up every morning, you have a full charge. It's really awesome. And you get spoiled by how smooth and quiet it is. There's no gas car that can match the smooth and quietness of an EV. Once you drive one of these for any point of time and then you get behind a gas car, it's going to feel almost chaotic. Why do I feel the transmission shifting? Why do I feel vibrations from the engine? Don't get me wrong, I love gas cars. You know, I have a Tesla, but I have gas cars myself. You know, when it comes to performance driving, nothing can, you know, for driving enjoyment, a nice V8 engine and a manual transmission for performance driving, you can't compare that to an EV. You know, it's a different type of fun. It's that mechanical connection to the vehicle, which is great. But when it comes to daily driving on the highway, driving in crappy weather, nothing beats a Tesla with autopilot. It is fantastic. And then we have Tesla's amazing mobile app. Right now, I don't even have a key for this vehicle. I have the phone set up as a key. You just walk up, you get in, and boom. You're always getting these software updates improving the vehicle. You have controls, you can remotely start and unlock the vehicle. So if you're in Paris and the car is in Seattle, and if someone needs to move it or whatever for you, or a family member wants to borrow it, you can start it for them. You can add people as a driver. I can go here and I can text someone an invitation, and if they have the Tesla app, they now have vehicle access and access to, so you can share this with your spouse. You know, your spouse can have their own account and you add them as a driver like I do with my wife. You have the information, warranty specs. And that's the other thing to think about. A lot of people say, oh, well, what's going to happen when the battery goes bad? Well, the battery in this thing is designed to last the life of a vehicle, kind of like an engine. You know, usually engines don't go bad, but there are occasions where they do go bad and you have to replace them. That's the same thing with EVs. But there are a lot of Tesla Model S's out there with 200, 300,000, even 1 million miles. There's actually a Tesla high mileage club. People are, you know, saying, oh yeah, I just bought a Tesla Model S with 300,000 miles on it and it still runs great. They've been out long enough where we can see battery degradation and things like that. And generally, the batteries are very robust in Teslas and they last a long time. But on top of that, you have a lot of warranty. We have a bumper-to-bumper warranty that right now it's almost January 1st of 2024. Happy New Year. We've about a week left in 2023 at the time of doing this video. So we have a bumper-to-bumper warranty till March 21st, 2026, or 50,000 miles. But then we have the powertrain, the battery and the drive unit, which is basically like the powertrain. You have warranty coverage to March 21st, 2030, or 150,000 miles. And also let you know when supercharging is ready to be done. So if you're not in the vehicle, you don't get surcharges. They can give you $1 a minute idle charges if you leave your vehicle on a charger, taking up that precious charging stall for other people when it's done charging. So it's good that Tesla lets you know that. But going back to this, yes, 150,000 mile warranty on the battery and drive unit. So it'll be quite a while before you have to worry about the battery going bad because it's covered under warranty. That's like a powertrain warranty that goes 150,000 miles. Most BMWs and Mercedes have a 4-year, 50,000 mile warranty, and that's it, stop. There's no 150,000 mile warranty on pretty much any gas car because most gas cars, honestly, don't go 150,000 miles. Most of the time when we have a car that comes and traded at our dealership and it has over 100,000 miles, most of them are going to the auction just because they're leaking oil. It's just going to cost us too much money to put it through our service department. We're a high-end dealership. We don't sell, you know, beat up leaky cars. We do a few value cars for special situations if it's a really rare, nice car like an old Infiniti G35 or something like that, that, you know, we'll sell as is to someone who wants a project car. But that's a very unique situation. For the most part, you know, most gas cars aren't going to go 150,000 miles, so most, you know, car companies aren't going to warranty them that long, especially a high-performance car. I don't think there's any cars out there with close to 1,000 horsepower that have a warranty past 100,000 miles. So you can see there's a lot of coverage on it. You know, if you're in your vehicle, Once you get out of the shower and you want to warm up your vehicle, you can defrost it, you can put on the heated seats, which is good because it also warms up the battery. And you can also do scheduled departures as well. So if you leave the same time, every day, you can say, okay, I want the car's battery to start warming up and the climate control to go on at 6 a.m. when I leave for work, which is good because if it's really cold out, if it's able to warm up the battery, that's going to make it a lot more efficient while charging. And obviously, if you can park it inside your garage, that will be a little bit better too, because your garage is going to be at a higher temperature than outside. Batteries are generally more efficient when they're at a happy temperature, not when they're cold. So yeah. All right, we got about a minute left, almost done charging. So I want to talk about Sentry Mode. It's really cool too. So Sentry Mode is basically like a theft deterrent system. This has cameras all around it, which it uses for the autopilot and stuff like that, but it also works as a security system. So any movement around the vehicle, and more importantly, if someone vandalizes the vehicle, breaks into it, it's going to record everything. But it also works while you're driving. You have a 360 dash cam. So while you're driving, you have a data drive. You can store all driving data. It actually comes in pretty handy. Here's some video footage of some weirdo who came in our lot that I was trying to kick off. Here's a video, actually one of our employees has a Tesla. They were rear-ended, unfortunately, in a Tesla, but it was all caught on video. So when it comes to the police and insurance company, there's no guesswork out of it. It's pretty cut and dry who is at fault at it. So people actually have got out of traffic tickets and stuff like that with this Tesla cam. One person was pulled over for not using a signal, but on the video you can see the reflection of their signal on. So obviously that police officer made a bad call in that situation, and that person got out of their ticket thanks to the camera. Okay, so for charging, we're pretty much done. 80% gives us about 260 miles of range. The charging cost was about $20.43. This is a little bit of a higher usage charger, so I think they charge a little bit more. Sometimes it can be as cheap as $10 or $12 for charge to 80%. It all varies depending on the charger. But you can use this, you can use your app, but you can also use this lightning bolt right here. And these are all the different chargers, level 1 charging, level 2, and level 3 is the fast charging. And you can see these are all the different chargers in the area. It shows how many are available. These have 7 stalls available, 7 stalls available. These are full, so this is about a 12-minute wait. And it charges you the cost per kilowatt, 47 cents, 51 cents, 37 cents. So depending on the usage, where they're located, 28 cents, the cost of supercharging can vary. All right, well, that sums up our little drive. I'm gonna pop it off the charger. Hopefully this is informative regarding this Tesla 2022 Tesla Model S Plaid. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon, and have a wonderful day.